Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp of the Limp, and I'm here with a different kind of special treat for you all. This is Skies of Victory. You'll notice I don't have a box. I don't have anything like that to show you, and that's because this is one of the print and play type of games. I don't think I've ever reviewed a game like this before, so this is going to be a first for me getting to review that for you. This is by Verillion Games. They were nice enough to send me a copy. Kevin, thank you for sending it my way. I have got it all set up for you. I can't really comment, like I said, on the component quality because component quality is all up to me on what I use, right? The whole thing, the counters, the boards, the player aids. You guys are going to see all these are based on what I put together. I will say it was kind of a trial and error thing. I discovered a few things while I was doing it. There are a lot of counters in this game. It's not really that counter heavy. I think there's 3.5 pages or so. So not heavy for any game by any means. But when you're having to put them all together, it does start to kind of wear on you. And I made the mistake of gluing down all the sheets the same way. Now, I used a chipboard that you can get bulk chipboard for relatively cheap prices. I used the thicker ones here for the boards that are actual boards, like the mat boards that we're going to have laid out, and thinner ones for the player aids and for the counters themselves. When you do the counters, if you're doing a print and play on your own like this, I would cut them into smaller sections and then glue them. You guys have to forgive me. I'm still getting over a chest cold. Anyway, you can glue them down. I use this glue stick, right? The kids have a bunch of these things. And it worked well for all the things that were one whole sheet, right? That worked fine. But the counters, for some reason, they didn't take. In some spots they were glued, in some spots they weren't. And I had to go back for every single counter and re-glue them all. All right. After I cut them and started trying to turn them into individual counters, that's when I discovered that a lot of them, the glue had not taken. So I would do the counters in smaller sections. So cut the sheet in like fourths, right? Glue that down and then cut those out. You should be fine. I think the stick glue that I used just dries way too fast for you to do it as an entire sheet. If you're doing one of these, it tended to be easier because not all of this had to be perfectly tacked down. As long as you pretty much got the edges, you're pretty well good. The counters, though, these are small. They have to be glued down. So just my word to the wise, do your counters in batches. The rest of it actually worked pretty well. I'm pleasantly surprised with how everything turned out. This is colorized. The way I printed it out, you could print it out in black and white if you want to save ink, but really it looks good the way it is. So what is Skies of Victory? Skies of Victory is a game where you are going to perform flights, perform missions with your fighters and bombers, and you're going to go across these zones over here on this board, attacking different targets and threats. Now, targets are buildings and production factories and stuff like that. So think of like bombing runs. Your threats are going to be things like enemy fighters and flak. So they'll have to be in their own container. Targets have to be in a container. This game takes a lot of containers because I got to have a container for my bombers, container for my fighters, and there's a few other things off to the side. So you need at least 4 at minimum to get by with this game when it comes to the opaque cups that you required. So what I thought I would do is kind of just set the game up and run through an example mission as a way to show you what all's going on with it, because it'd take me too long to explain everything. So let's start with that. Oh, and the rule book here that I've got is 39 pages. I cut out some of the pages, a lot of examples, so it's like 35 pages. And that's single-sided, not double-sided. So you're really looking at about 18 pages worth of rules. First few pages, you don't have to print those out. That's like the cover sheet and things like that. So about 18 pages front and back worth of total rules for the game. So it's not dense. All right, so for initial setup, game setup, we've got ourselves a little player aid here to go on. This is going to allow us to roll, which we're going to be using D10s for all our rolls here, for numbers of bombers, numbers of fighters, and these are how many we start with, not with the enemy. How many campaign points we get, and campaign points are kind of like production points for us. It allows us to do things like tech and research and buy new groups, new fighters and bombers to go with. But we're also roll for initial targets, threats, and this is just telling us how much things cost. We also have that over here on this play rate. So let's do some rolling real quick and see what we start out with. For our number of bombers, we got a 5, so we're going to have 12. Now, you do have to draw these out randomly because they have different stats on them. I'll tell you guys the stats here in just a sec. Let's see, was it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, 12. Now, these are only one-sided. I did not see anything to make the counters like front and back. So really, it's not that big of a deal. You're not going to be flipping the counters that much. I would not get these wet because they don't have the resiliency that others are going to have. All right, so let's put all our bombers here on our board, and then we'll start talking about some stats, or we'll get our other bombers as well, and then we'll get, or our fighters rather, and then we'll get ourselves some stats. Ooh, we got one really good one. You're a real crappy one, and you're a pretty decent one. It's all about those modifiers, and that's a pretty decent one. Okay, we got some decent ones. All right, and just to show you guys real quick what I'm talking about, the stats are located here across the bottom. So you see bomber, fighter, stats are the same. That tells you their attack bonus. You figure out how many dice you're going to roll on a different chart, but some of them have bonuses, like this one gets a +1. See, looking down over here, my bombers, I've got some with +1, some one with a +3. So we got one really good one, and the rest okay. Middle number is plus for your initiative, so that's how high you're going to go. Higher is better. This +1, definitely a good thing. Same thing over here with our fighters, and the stats are similar when it comes to the enemies, except they have a few extra stats on there that are going to tell you things like the victory point cost for them, right? Like extra points you get for taking them out, or how many dice they're going to roll in combat. You get your dice from a different chart. The enemies are going to have theirs printed on them. All right, so let's see. We got a roll for our fighters. We got a 6, so again, we're rolling right there in the middle ground. We're going to have 6 fighters. You only really change on this with the 1 and the 10. The 1 you get less, the 10 you get more. All right. 6 of these guys. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All right. Did we get good fighters? Ooh, that's a really good fighter, actually. Ooh, that's a very good fighter. There's some mediocre fighters. The fighters, I got really good ones. A lot better than I got for the bombers. All of them have some type of bonus to attack or initiative. Let's see here. Yeah. You're good. You're good. Ooh, that high initiative is really good. All right, so these are our fighters. These are our bombers. I probably actually should put them up in the ready box, but we'll worry about that later. All right, I went ahead and slid them up because we actually need to have this available for our game itself. You'll notice here at the top, it says flights, and it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is when we create a group that's going to go out and conduct a mission. That's where we're going to put them. So we would pick a couple of bombers, a couple of fighters. That would make flight 1. And then we could just use this counter to signify it as it's going up in the different zones. And then whatever target is going after, we have to mark down, because you have to pick a specific target. Hey, we're going after that building. All right, so let's roll for our initial targets. See how many we're going to get. We got a 7. That's 12. Okay. And you know what? Let's just go ahead and roll on our initial zone threats as well. 9. 9 is 2. Okay, this is good. That's not too bad. 12 targets and 2 zone threats. Let's randomly draw for our zone threats because we only got 2, so not a huge deal. Shuffle is up. Look away, Gimpy. Give me 1. Come on, give me the crappy ones. Give me the crappy ones. Ones with bad stats. We get. Ooh, that fighter is actually really good. It's not good. All right, now, if you look on our zones here, zone 4, 3, 2, and 1. 1 is the closest to us, 4 is the farthest away. When we start our game, our bombers can only go to zone 3, and our fighters can only go to zone 2. You can increase this through tech, right? Spending your campaign points to get tech points, and those tech points will be used to pay for things like improved bombers, improved fighters, and it'll allow you to go farther on. There's also the resistance roll, which will do things like reduce the threats or reduce the targets, the resistance fighters, right? That they're bombing things. All right, let's roll. You see 1, 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, and 9 to 10. 4. So put him there. And next one, what are we going to get? 5. He's also there. Well, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. Now we have 12. 12 of these targets. That's not too bad. But you're thinking, oh, well, there's only 2 threats on the board. Nope, doesn't work that way. There's more threats that come on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, got 12. We're going to do the same thing that we just did. Let me pull all these out of the way, and we will roll to see where they go. So let me do that real quick, and we'll speed that up. All right, so after rolling very quickly to see where they all go, they all went right there in the middle. Most of them went in this 3 to 5 zone, a few here in zone 2, and 1 down here in zone 1. So we didn't get too many high rolls on this, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, last thing we got to roll for is our initial campaign points. See what we get. Just roll that in there. 8. 8 is going to be 30 points. 30 points is actually not too bad. I'll take 30. So put that right there. And these campaign points, like I said, can be used to buy a multitude of different things. Bombers, fighters, tech points, bonuses. Bonuses are things that will make it easier. You can buy basically re-rolls or plus modifiers that you can assign to certain aircraft throughout your mission. You can also spend your campaign points to repair your fighters and bombers because they will take damage throughout their missions. They'll end up here in this repair and refuel box. They will repair slowly over time, right? But you can spend some points to speed that up. Now, as well, when it comes to actually conducting a mission, you have to spend campaign points to do that. It costs 10 points per flight, with the exception of the first flight. So you can fly 1 flight for free each turn, but you get 10 campaign points just free added to your stack each turn. So realistically speaking, if you don't spend them on anything else, you can fly 2 flights per turn and conduct your missions, right? That's the bare minimum that you can do if you don't spend your points towards anything else. But of course, you are going to want to spend them towards tech points and the like. All right, so let's mark this as turn 1. We've got 0 victory points, and we need to see how many production points the enemy starts with, because I think there is a roll for that as well. We've already done our initial threats, targets, campaign points. Don't they get the roll? Let's check this. All right, so we do have our lovely sequence of play here, and I was actually wrong. We do not start with any enemy production points. They don't get any right off the bat. They do get some later, but we've done our all our initial stuff. Initial targets, threats, our fighters, bombers, campaign points. We are not purchasing anything extra. We'll just leave that to the side for now. We might buy some other stuff later. We can see where our tech level is. All basics. Bombers have a range of 3. Fighters have a range of 2. Resistance rolls. There are no modifiers. And once we get that second level of bombers, we get a +1 to hit for all of our bombers. So that's something I would think would be a good place to start spending those initial campaign points. 10 points per tech point, and then buy that up to increase your bomber's range and get that bonus. We advance turn counter. We're already on turn 1. The enemy does have their production improvement phase. This is where they would get a chance to have bonuses and improvements applied. They do not have any production points starting off, so we don't have to worry about that. Same thing with player improvement phase, and that's where I'm buying my bonuses, spending campaign points to get those rerolls and the like that I was talking about. We're not going to worry about that. I'm not going to buy any. I'm going to hold on to my campaign points to probably honestly spend towards tech later on. So now we are at a target designation phase. So we got to pick who we are going to target and what we are going to hit them with. Well, I'm going to create a flight here of a couple of bombers and a couple of fighters. And that's going to be my flight. And they are going to go for... Let's go for something easy. Let's start off with this little factory right here. Now, something to keep in mind is the enemy gets production points at the end of each turn for targets that are still on the board. So some of these will grant varying levels of production points to the enemy. So you want to target certain ones before others, but of course they're going to be harder targets versus the others. We're going to target this basic one here because if I'm reading that right, especially, yep, he only gets 2 threats. So we don't have to worry too much about what we're going to be fighting with him. Before I forget to do it, we do have, we've done our target designation. We've created our flight. Aircraft are ready. And the aircraft ready phase, this is where we would be pulling aircraft up from the arrive, return, repair, refuel, doing extra repairs, whatnot, and bringing them up into the ready box, right? So we're good there. We don't have any that have to come up. Next up is our resistance roll. Had to grab my player aid here. Let's roll for the resistance. Can they do something? Probably not. Definitely not. They can do things like damage a threat, damage a target, destroy a random upgrade, destroy flat out or threat or a target, but you can only get those higher ones because this is D10 and that's 11 and 12 by increasing your resistance tech over here. These get you roll modifiers +1 and +2 towards your rolls. So that's the only way you can get some of those higher resistance things. I wouldn't really spend tech points towards that yet. There's bombers and fighters that can be improved. Let's go for that first. Next up on our sequence of play is going to be the flight sequence. This is the actual gameplay itself. We are going to advance all flights 1 zone or start them on zone 1 if they're, up here in the ready box. So that's why I've got flight 1. Boom, it's there. If there were any threats here, we would encounter them and have a combat now. There are no threats. And if you have multiple flights, then the threats will randomly determine. You'll just roll a dice and determine which one goes to which. Since we do not have any threats, we can just skip on and keep going since there is no combat, and we will push on again. In other words, you're going to keep doing that, pushing forward, checking for threats, checking to see if you've hit your target until all flights that you have out have returned to base. We've got our 1 flight. Did not encounter any threats. Boom! And now we are here at our target. There's still no extra threats to add into it, so we only have to worry about the threats that come with our target. So if we look here at our targets, right? So we got target and production. These are the ones I was talking about that give them extra production points. The threats is this number in the bottom left, but still on the white part, right? It says threats. 3 on this example, so that means you would randomly draw 3 threats. For our little target, we have 2, so we are going to randomly draw 2 threats to be part of this combat when we have our little attack going forward. The number down at the bottom center is its campaign points. That's how much you get for taking that out. There are sometimes special points that are associated with it. There can be victory points. You see where that number is located. So that's where you get your victory points over here. And then it has things like its defense and its armor value. You're going to see how that works in combat. But basically for defense, that's the number you need to meet or beat to cause damage to the target. And the armor value is how much damage the target can take before it is destroyed. So for us, this one needs a 6 or better to hit it. And 4 hits will destroy this target. Hopefully, we can take it out. Now, let me grab my combat player aid. All right, so I'm just going to lay this here like so. This is where our combat's going to take place. So any of the targets and threats that you have taking place in this or taking part in this will be placed here. Targets always go down here at the bottom. So numbers, whatever's up here at the top, gets to go first. That means it gets to shoot first and attack anything below it. If they're at the same level, then it's simultaneous. And obviously, if you're attacking above you, then you can go ahead and apply the damage because it's already been applied. For us, we are going to have our 2 bombers, and our 2 fighters. One fighter has just the defensive 7, but they all have a plus modifier to their initiative, which is awesome. And we are actually at zone 2. That has a modifier. Player units get +1 to their initiative roll. I had to keep that in mind as well. So they're going to get a lot of help here. This one has a +3 to its initiative. So now it's +4. Let's roll, see where he gets. He gets 10. So he's going to be attacking high up. This one has a +2. And he's also going to be attacking at 10. Come on, keep my bombers there too. I want to be able to take out these oncoming threats. I wish we had hit it in the first zone because that actually reduces the threats by 1. 9 plus 11 for this bomber. Watch. My best attacking bomber is going to get a low roll. No low roll. Come on. Big money, big money, big money. 8. Hey, he's 11 too. Look at that. All right, we are all in the top 2. Now I have to randomly draw for our enemies. Come on, give me. Oh, I flicked out a whole bunch. Let's just keep. Well, do I have a fighter down here too? Yeah. I was going to say, let's keep 1 of each. So we can go with. So here we go. 2. Now, this is same thing, right? We got to roll for their initiative and then perform combat as desired. So this one gets that one's just going to get a 3 because he does not get the zone bonus. This one does not have a bonus at all, so he's just getting what's rolled. And he got a 9. You got to be kidding me. Bad. All right, so here's how combat's going to go. Like I said, it's going to be top down in initiative order. Your bombers can only attack the target. Now, they can retaliate in air-to-air combat in certain situations. There's a lot of if this, then this, then this. Enemy flak can only attack the bombers unless there's an enemy fighter present. Then they can attack options. But my goal here, hopefully, is to attack with both my bombers against the target, destroy that, attack with this fighter against their fighter since I have initiative, so hopefully I can kill him. There's the best chance of taking him out. And then attacking this one, this would be simultaneous, but hopefully he has enough to be able to take out that flak so the flak doesn't target my bombers. But he would get to retaliate anyway, so it doesn't matter. He'd be firing at the fighter. Basically, I'm trying to coordinate this in such a way as to protect my bombers because these are good bombers, and I do not want to lose them. All right, let's do our first bomber, and I need a blade. All right, so there is a chart for combat. We've got our bomber chart and our fighter chart. This is where we get our dice, right? The counters for the enemy tell them their dice, but this tells us our dice. For our bombers, since neither of them have any damage, they're doing air to ground, they get 6 dice. If they're doing air to air, they'd only get 3. They're targeting ground target, so they're going to tear it apart. 6 dice for each one of them. Now, as they take damage, the amount of dice they get to deploy goes down. So, for our bombers, we have a +1 and a +3. We'll start with the +1. Each one is going to get 6. The target has a defensive number of 6. That means that with his +1, and we've got nothing else, I think. No other bonus for mid-range. Yep. It's only towards initiative. That means any 5s or better will be able to cause damage to our target here. Roll. Oh, I don't even have to roll anymore. 10s are automatic hits. 1s are automatic misses. He hit with all 6. So the second bomber doesn't even have to do it. We have destroyed our target in one fell swoop. What beautiful, beautiful footage here. All right. Same thing goes with our fighters. We're doing air-to-air with this first one, so he gets 4 since he has no damage. He is attacking the enemy fighter. Let's see if we can take him out. 777, lucky number 7. Boom, and a 2. His defensive value is 8, so he is hard to hit. Oh no, he's got 1 health left. Oh, I did not take him out. He's going to get to return fire. He's going to get to return fire. That is so bad. That is so bad. Oh, so horrible. Let me find the... I got to get a 3 damage counter. All right, so he has 3. I did not get to take him out. Horrible, horrible. I needed all 4 to hit. That is so sad. Oh, I was so happy with the 3, too. All right, he is doing air to ground, so he only gets 3. I need 2 of these to hit. He's getting +1. The flak will get to fire back, though. 2 of them do hit, so the flak is going to be destroyed, but the flak gets to fire back. He gets 2 dice with no modifier, and he's looking for a 7 or better. And he got 1 hit. So single damage point against my poor little fighter. And it's so sad. So sad. Come on, where's a 1? I know there's a 1 in here. Poor little fighter. Now, you get 1 free repair, 1 point of repair for your fighters and bombers each turn anyway, so that's not a big deal. We're going to keep ticking down our initiative line. We're going to hit this one. He has got 1 attack die with no modifier applied to it. So, roll for him, and he gets a 10. Guaranteed hit. All right, both of these guys will put them under the 1, so they all take it. They each get 1 point of damage. But you know what? 1 point of damage for a target destroyed is perfectly fine. So that has 2 victory points. We'll tick that up by 2. And that is all that we get for this target. We don't gain production points, or campaign points rather. And our threats go back to our draw pile. They do not get put back onto the board. Would have been great if we had destroyed that fighter. My goal was to destroy the fighter to keep it from firing back. Same with the flak, but only worked with the flak. No big deal. All right, so our mission is a success. I will go ahead and place these back up here in the flight box. These guys have gone back to their arrive, return, and we have completed, for the most part, the first turn. There is a few things that do happen. After that, we have the roll for additional targets, which will be treated the same way as you saw me do the roll for the original targets, right? So we're going to roll to see if more targets come on the board and how many. Aircraft repair and refuel phase. So this is where we get to repair. And then also campaign point conversion, but that comes only in turn 10. Basically, your campaign points can get you extra victory points at the end of the game, but their production points can get them extra points at the end of the game. Also, at the end of a turn, you will have to tally up the production points that they have from their targets that are on the board, and that gets added to their little tally over here. All right. That is the basic gist of how Skies of Victory plays. Now, of course, I only gave you a little taste of it. It is a little more in depth. Obviously, you're going to have a lot more going on. You do have the tech stuff over here that I mentioned, but that's the basic gist of what you got going on. Now, ultimately, do I like Skies of Victory? Yeah, I do. This one really does remind me of Silent Victory, American Tank Ace, games of that ilk. Now, I don't think it's quite as good as American Tank Ace, but American Tank Ace is one of my all-time favorites. But do I think that this game gives you a fair amount of gameplay for its cost? Yes, absolutely. I know this thing is under 15 bucks. I forget exactly what the price was I saw, but I know it's like 15 or under. It is a digital product. So effectively, you can create as much of it as you want. You don't need extras. And you get to make the game, right? If you screw up a counter, if you lose a counter, if whatever, print off another one. You're good to go. If you want extra damage counters, if you want extras, basically you can kind of do with the game what you want to. Obviously, I'm not saying pirate it. Don't do that. That's stupid. But the game kind of leaves that option up to you. Truth be told, there's more in here than I originally anticipated because when I thought print and play, I thought you print off a page, right? It's going to be a single map. It's not going to have a whole lot going on. There's going to be maybe a few counters, just a very basic streamlined game, like rolling a die, like, oh, 1 to 5, you miss, 6 to 10, you hit, in my mind, that was print and play. But this is really kind of on par with a boxed game with the amount of actual gameplay. There's plenty of replayability in just this right here. And not to mention, he has the ability to expand this out, kind of tweak it and modify it. And if he wanted to add something like new units to the game, I mean, he does that with a click of a mouse, right? And it's just there. You could just change it. There's no production. There's no sending anything off to China to get mailed back or any of that crap. Click of a mouse, boom, everyone gets it. So, I mean, the options that are open for everybody is quite surprising. The amount of gameplay that you get out of it. My only problem with it is that it is a pain in the ass to put together. It's not simple. The boards are simple. The player aids are fairly simple. The counters were the pain in the ass. Now, I did try clipping the counters, just the bombers and fighters, to see. And as you can tell by just looking at them, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. It does not make enough difference to make it worth the effort. So don't do that. They look fine. They don't, tear at the corners or anything like that. The only real problem I had was my own mistake in the fact that I tried to glue down an entire sheet of counters with a single glue stick, and this stuff just dries so fast that by the time you slather across the whole chipboard and then try to put the sheet on it, yeah, the sheet's going to stick. But when you cut out the counters, I had multiple that did not glue at all. Like nothing was sticking and the paper was just falling off. So I literally had to go back and do all of these by hand. Don't do it that way. Like I said, cut it out into a fourth of a page, glue that down, and you shouldn't have the same problem that I did. It'll take you a little bit to get it all glued down. I did notice a little more warping with the boards than I anticipated. I kind of figured that the thinner pieces would, but these, hold up so you guys can see it. The thinner chipboard actually didn't really crease or curl that much. I didn't anticipate that the glue stick would have enough moisture to really curl these thicker boards. Something I did do that helped mitigate that when I did these is when I glued all of them down, I put them down and put a bunch of heavy objects on top of them, and I left them overnight so they glued with that weight pushing down, and it seemed to keep them from drying in that like curl fashion. I don't think I did that with these 4 boards. the four main boards, and I think that's why I'm getting just a little bit of a curl. Not much. It's easy to just bend them back into shape, but something to be aware of. But ultimately, yes, I did enjoy my time with Skies of Victory, and like I said, there's a lot more game in here than I ever thought you would get out of a print and play. It's amazing the quality of games that they're able to produce in the print and play manner. That way, you can spend a few dollars and you get a good equivalent of a boxed game. The only problem is you got to put it together. That doesn't bother you? Yeah, jump all over it. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this one. Y'all take care, and I will catch you in the next one.